given how fast he's proven himself at every level of competition, is Connor Zilisch ready for a full-time Xfinity ride? And what do you expect from him in 2025?
Oh, good evening, Josh. This is big and happy news because if you haven't heard the name Connor Zilisch over the last 18 months or so, you're going to hear a lot more of it going forward at the end of this year and into next. Came onto my radar last year when he was doing a sort of double program across MX5 and Trans Am TA2, and was taking victories in both. And you look and you go, wow, this young kid has certainly got something special. Let's see what he can do with it. Then he gets some opportunities elsewhere, and as you mentioned, was first start at the Daytona 24 Hours, tick, won that LMP2. First start at Sebring for the 12 Hours a couple of months later, tick, yes, that's another victory, thank you. A new watch from Rolex, and etc. etc. Picks up some ARCA victories along the way. We knew he was going to have some runs coming up in the second half of the NASCAR series this year in trucks and Xfinity, which you're going to get to in a second and detail. And now he's going to get a full-time gig in the Xfinity Series next year with JR Motorsport, which is really, really good. It's good to see the 88 car back, which on its own has had a bit part program this year with some people floating in and out of it so far through the Xfinity Series. And now it's going to get a really, really talented young kid come into that team and that car, and we'll see what he can do with it, because we like to big up the young talent on this network and on this show. I've mentioned Connor a few times in previous, and he really, really is going to be, hopefully, if he can put himself in the right positions, and Dale Jr.'s got his man, to use a soccer transfer sort of phrase. They've got their man in that car, in that team for next year. If they can put together a full program, which it sounds like they're going to be able to, then he's going to certainly be in contention for wins pretty much throughout next season, you would expect.
110% as well. And now, because Zilisch has since turned 18 years old just a few weeks ago, it does now mean that he will see him competing in the Truck and Xfinity Series as we close out the 2024 season. Zilisch will drive the number 7 Chevrolet for JR Motorsports this weekend at Richmond. We'll also see him enter Truck Series races at Bristol, Talladega, Homestead, and at Martinsville as well. Additionally, Zilisch will make his Xfinity Series debut with JR Motorsports at Watkins Glen in the number 88 Chevrolet as well. Now, he'll make a few more Xfinity starts at Kansas, Homestead, and Phoenix, crucially. Trackhouse seems to be putting Zilisch in the best possible position to succeed, with a good development plan to introduce him to bigger tracks and race with a competitive organisation next year. And also looking at other Trackhouse development drivers, they've got Shane Van Gisbergen coming in, racing full-time in Xfinity Series as well, with Carlo Racing, and Select Cup starts as well, the team that has dipped a little in performance as well. Meanwhile, they've loaned out Zane Smith to JR Motorsports in the Cup Series and have struggled mostly a little bit in his rookie season as well, despite showing signs of improvement in recent races. Although Daniel Suarez won Atlanta and secured his spot in the playoffs, it hasn't really been the best year for Trackhouse. Suarez hasn't been consistent, and Ross Chastain is currently on the playoff bubble, with a real threat of missing the postseason. Then you look at the business side of things, and we're in August, and Suarez still doesn't have a contract extension. Plus, with rumours of Trackhouse expanding, I just realised something as well, why you can't see me properly out there as well, because there you go, the lights aren't on. I was struggling to read my script there halfway through because the lights aren't in the studio. So anyway, as I was going back out as well, if you look at the business side of things, we're in August. Suarez doesn't have a contract extension. Plus, there are rumours of Trackhouse expanding to a third full-time team in 2025. There are questions if they'll even give that seat to Smith, or will they give it to SVG as well. Now, Zilisch has a strong 2025 season in Xfinity. He could make team owner Justin Marks' jobs much, much harder. Earning a cup ride in 2026 isn't out of question for Zilisch if he sets the world on fire. But many get concerned when a driver is rushed up too soon. However, Zilisch is focused on getting up to speed in Xfinity for the time being. He said he can't wait to show everybody supporting his career that their trust in him is warranted, and called it mind-blowing to race for one of his heroes of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, as Adam says here, Connor Zilisch is a star. He'll be incredible in the NASCAR Xfinity season in 2025. Matt, do you think that Zilisch needs to be more than one season in Xfinity, or would a promotion to the Cup Series in 2026 be reasonable if he does do extremely well?
Well, I mean, if he comes in and blows everybody's doors off, then there's probably going to be no choice in a, if we were just talking before we went on air, in a Kimi Antonelli kind of way.
Yeah.
But as documented there, the Trackhouse side of this stable, they've got a pretty stacked field, haven't they? With Chastain, possibly Suarez, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Zane Smith in the mix as well. If they go to a third car, will both of those go up and then Suarez come out? Then what does Zilisch do if he comes in and wins the championship in his first year, which I can't see? He'll be in there in the mix throughout the year. I'd like to think he'll be in the mix at Watkins Glen in a few weeks in that Xfinity ride that he gets, because he was very good there in TA2 last year. So knows the track well, and the cars are fairly similar. So that should be good to see. Whether he goes straight up, that's all up in the air, but he's got plenty of time. Doesn't need to rush into anything, but just as we've documented through this segment, the way he's been going and picking off race wins here, there, and everywhere across all of the multitude of categories and in at different racetracks as well. More importantly, once we get to kind of, I guess the test would be when we get to this point of the season next year. I know we've obviously not got an Olympic break in the middle of the NASCAR season next year, but when we get to this summer month, where is he in the championship? Has he got himself in the playoffs stably? He's very, very good ride, probably the best team in the Xfinity Series, you would say, across the board with JRM. So the equipment's not going to be an issue for him. I don't see him going straight up unless for some bizarre reason where he just wins and wins and wins and wins, and then they'll end up having no choice, and everyone will want to be a part of the Connor Zilisch story. But we'll have to wait and see. It's certainly going to be in the cup level, at some point in a not too distant future. We'll just have to wait and see when exactly that will be.
Absolutely as well, and we'll continue to bring any updates on Connor Zilisch's story here on the Grid Tonight show and across our other programs